Welcome to the Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Refracted Curvature, Arthur, Click OK, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server. So, welcome one and all.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good to have you all. Now, in the interest of keeping everybody happy, I've had several messages that are saying things that we've been echoing the sentiment of, but I've just now had it put to me directly. One of which was, if there is, quote, no debate, then how are we going to get to see you at your best, which is hammering the living daylights out of globe fundies? Now, that's paraphrasing the email that I got from somebody who had shared a Dave McKeegan video with me. And I think it was off the back of us saying, well, why should we respond or be reactive to these numpties when they're in our own pond? We offer an open door, and all we get is called cowards for offering an open door? It's like, why would we want to engage with these people when there's plenty of normal people out there who know they're measuring Earth flat? They don't feel the need to apologise for how globe-shaped it isn't when they do so. So with that in mind, I am going to actually go through a full rendition of the housekeeping questions, so everyone's kept familiar with that little glimmer of hope that we offer when we ask people a globe-centric based question based on the defeat thereof when it comes to each of the arguments. So with that being said, any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
Malformed question.
It
the
is.
Horizon is horizontal. Horizontals do not exist on a globe.
Perfect answer. Absolutely perfect. Yes, it is a malformed question, and yes, you cannot have a horizon on a globe, let alone a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon below the surface level we measure flat, when measuring our eye level parallel with the surface level, which is flat, and our elevation with respect to surface level, perpendicular to a flat plane. So notwithstanding the three ways that we must measure Earth flat, we can't have a horizon on a globe below the surface level that's measured flat. It is indeed a malformed question. Thank you, John. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Also a malformed question.
Yeah, don't you need a globe before you can actually start spinning it and inferring an axis?
Well, you need a plane of reference in which to derive any kind of rotation from. So that defeats the purpose of asking if the ground is spherical.
Correct. That's 2 for 2. Well done, John. Absolutely spot on. If you're going to infer the effect that a globe suggests for its proof of spin, then you're going to infer a Coriolis deflection, which requires a plane of reference to describe the non-inertial plane of reference and the inertial plane of reference that you're going to have an item travelling through appearing to curve from a flat disk spinning in the description. The axis merely runs through the circle to have it rotating about, but it is indeed a flat plane in the description. Now, Coriolis effect's real. If you sit on a roundabout and toss a ball over the top of it, so you've got two people not sat on the roundabout tossing a ball in a straight line, and you're on the roundabout underneath observing the ball, you'll see the ball seem to curve. That's the Coriolis force. The force that makes the ball curve. It's a pseudo force because the ball is not curving. It's moving in a straight line. It only appears to curve as you turn underneath. Therefore, the prerequisite for Coriolis effect to exist is you turning underneath an inertial frame of reference. And if that's the globe, malformed though it is because it requires a planar description on the non-inertial turning reference frame, you would need Earth to be turning underneath aeroplanes, hot air balloons, you if you jump up and down. And we'd notice. We don't. Can you hear that? You and your reference frames are ruined. That's the sound of Simon Dan the Clown. Doesn't seem to understand you need two of them. And then you need a flat plane to describe it. Nevertheless, Earth is not rotating. There's no demonstrable proof that there was. And the alleged proof that we have a rotation from a non-inertial turning reference frame alleged to be inaccurately a globe rather than flat surface would require us to notice an effect of not actual deflection. We don't. There isn't. Earth's not turning. I don't have to prove non-positivity, but the suggestion that a positive claim has been proven is suggested with Coriolis, and we do not observe that effect. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Malformed question, given distance is a linear description, and you wouldn't be able to formulate such concepts if the Earth was a globe.
Pretend that you can. It is a malformed question. You're 3 for 3 so far. Yes, absolutely. It is a malformed question. Their inference that we derive a distance in AU comes from a Keplerian motion and Huygens, that's Christian Huygens, description of the sphericity of Venus being described with a radial value derived from a flat surface elevation angle of Earth's flat planar surface when measuring angles from it. Not to it, from it. So therefore you're violating the base measurements that are used to derive a radial value to infer Keplerian orbital motion and then scale it with Christian Huygens transit of Venus when superimposing the radius value derived from a flat plane of Earth onto Venus. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Let me guess. Another malformed question.
Why is that a malformed question?
I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm thinking that John's going to come up with why it's a malformed question.
Any evidence of a
Well, the presupposition that Earth has a spherical center is relying on measurements from a flat plane. So I don't know if that one's technically malformed, though.
It's not exactly malformed. It has several violations of principles within the question. So self-perpetuating is included in the question because of the necessity for the molten iron core in a presupposed spherical Earth to be rotating to overcome its excessive temperature, excessive by comparison to the Curie point, which would mean it had no magnetic properties. So not necessarily malformed, but more in violation of the principles in the description, which are part of the question. Any scientific evidence of gravity? That is a malformed question. What's the observed phenomena in terms of gravity? In current rhetoric, it's a bent pseudo-Riemannian geometry. That's a mathematics invented by Einstein. So to ask for scientific evidence of a mathematical pseudo-geometry is malformed. I shouldn't be answering this. Why am I answering my own questions?
I said I wasn't going to do it again.
Well, fair enough. I had to do it. You didn't want to. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Can't have a hypothesis if the ology isn't science.
Correct. So some of the fields in the question are demonstrable pseudosciences. Astrophysics.
Therefore, you can't have a hypothesis.
No. You can observe phenomena in the sky, but astrophysics is a demonstrable pseudoscience. Naming stars and describing them and coming up with just so stories. That's not a science. But many people think it is. That's the main trick that we were all deceived with when we first arrived here. Certainly I was. You're under the misapprehension that the world being spherical is proven with an empirical form of evidence known as science. Science has known we're on a ball for thousands of years, they would say. What are you, a science denier? I, Mick West in one example, am a science communicator. Now look at my earth curve mathematics. Yes, lots of pseudoscientists in pseudoscience fields claiming they've got empirical evidence that has not been through the scientific method. The definition of something that is a claim of science and has not been through the scientific method is pseudoscience. Any evidence?
I think part of the problem is that in the rhetoric of talking about science, we say observable, measurable, testable, repeatable, and they glom onto the observable part. And we observe stars, we observe planets, we observe those lights in the sky, and then they just take it further into speculation. But all we can do is just do measurements. And that's how we know how the cycles of the stars and planets go and how we can navigate and stuff like that. But those all require measurements from the surface of Earth that we're standing on. And since it's observably, testably, measurably flat, then any claims of sphericity of the ground we're standing on are null and void.
Well put. Any evidence you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
Okay, but that one's malformed too.
Yes, it is. I was waiting.
Sorry.
I was going to say, according to some in the some of the Discord chat, you can if you have an imaginary tangent plane that you invoke.
Well, the word in the question is from. So tangents, conceptual that they are to spheres, not from spheres. You can't measure a tangent from the surface. You're measuring a baseline with respect to the surface. So you're acquiring it from surface level, not to a single point tangential to a globe Earth dangling below the line that you draw out to a single point. You're measuring from the surface if you're measuring an elevation angle. If you're navigating the surface, it's the surface that you're interested in. So one deck sent me an old video by Ruhif where he's saying you can acquire an elevation angle by dangling a plumb and then drawing a 90-degree perpendicular to the plumb line and then taking your elevation angle from said perpendicular, flat, tangential, planar line with respect to the plumb bob. And you're like, well, okay, so are we navigating the plumb bob? Or are we navigating the frickin' surface?
They just need to make that horizontal surface not be the horizontal surface of the Earth. That's why they're hitting so hard on that you can get a horizontal from a plumb line because they think the plumb line's pointing to the curved Earth. They still need the horizontal, but they have to.
No, a plumb
imaginary.
is with respect to a plane of reference. A plumb is with respect to a plane of reference, not a curve of reference.
Right, that's why they call it a tangent plane.
Again, the plane is what you're measuring from. Their requirement for a tangent point, a single point that has a ball dangling beneath it, leaves them no ability to afford them the measurement from the surface level. Again, what we are actually navigating is the surface when we're acquiring elevation angle measurements. And again, if you claim that you can measure from a tangent point, giving you a horizontal plane of reference tangential to a ball, well, where does the termination point lead you to in the navigation process? Well, in the navigation process, you're trying to acquire a GP. That's geographical or ground position. And it's on that straight line. Now, if you're suggesting that we've acquired a tangent from a ball dangling beneath it when acquiring surface level angle measurements, which in itself is extremely malformed, as we've got that as the word of the day, then your ground position isn't on the ground if it's at the end of a tangent line. You've only got a single point that meets your ball face dangling beneath it. Hence, we call this the dingleberry argument, where you've got a ground position at the end of a tangent line with a dangling berry below the point that meets said line that you're measuring from surface level. But then you've got a ground position out in the middle of outer space. Speaking of which, any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Yes, that one's malformed since pressure requires a container in the first place.
Yeah, all of these questions are malformed, and as I've been writing the book recently, it's becoming more and more apparent to me that the only purpose of these questions is to give our globe-believing brethren hope. It offers them, with malformed questions, the ability to think that there might be some solution that involves a globe. There isn't. But that's all we're doing with these housekeeping questions. In my humble opinion, they are only serving our opponents. They're not serving us. I mean, yes, they keep us abreast of how these arguments, if you want to call them that, have come and gone throughout the time that Flat Earth debate's been running. But realistically, they're just serving our opponents and giving them a vain sense that there may be hope that the globe can still function with answers to these questions. But there aren't answers to them because most of them, as John's been pointing out for the whole of the show, they're malformed when you actually break down what we're asking.
Hi, Nathan.
Hello.
It might be worth. You got the housekeeping questions which served its purpose and is still good to sort of go over. But you could. I don't know what you could do something else, maybe like housekeeping facts or. Yeah, and then just go over some points that we talk about. I don't know, what I'm trying to say. Point out the how is latitude measured? This is the facts of how latitude is measured, or something like that. The terms and terminology that we're using now, and put them into not necessarily a question, but a statement of fact. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't see why not. Everything's a possibility at the moment. Lots of things are in flux. Lots of things may change as time progresses.
They were important when we thought there was a freaking debate. There is no debate. And didn't we use them to draw out the ballers?
Yeah, whereas now we're of the opinion that, well, why would we need to offer these people hope? If you want to believe you're on a stupid ball, then feel free. Any evidence you can have pitch data on a globe?
Negative. And the only people that actually still want the housekeeping questions are people that still want to argue over globe. They want to use globe debunkings.
Well, pitch is in reference to horizontal, isn't it? You can't work out a pitch value from curved. It's from a horizontal reference plane, the pitch above it or below it. So it's a malformed question. Again, you can't acquire pitch data from a globe. No. Yeah, it can be acquired from a horizontal base reference only.
It is required from horizontal.
In the case of a straight and level flight, it's pitched above sea level. So again, it's level.
Oh dear. There goes that word again.
No, it's pitched above horizontal. So you're acquiring a horizontal with instruments and tools like gyroscopes. So you're trying to remain pitch up with respect to the horizontal. Your flight itself is at a flight level measured from the sea level. So that's altitude. in the pitch data, which it does show on the graphs and measurements from the black boxes, that we're measuring our height with respect to the surface level, parallel with it. But the pitch itself is not with respect to sea level, it's with respect to horizontal. You pitch up with respect to horizontal. Now, in emergency situations, you might use the horizon out the window to establish that horizontal. But for the most part, the tools and instrumentation aren't referencing necessarily sea level. They're measuring with respect to the chord line of the wing above the horizontal.
Right.
So it's like that
given
then.
the
So,
level,
sorry, John.
I was just going to say, level is just how we experience horizontal. It's first person view of horizontal. So that seems a bit nitpicky, you know.
Plus, like that housekeeping question there, you could make a statement of fact to say pitch level, pitch data, from flight data, however you want to word it, can only be obtained from horizontal. A statement of fact.
Yes, that's correct. You need to be able to establish and maintain a reference for horizontal so that your wing chord line can remain a couple of degrees above it in straight and level flight. Now, even as I'm saying it, the description itself requires a flat earth. So it's like to say, well, in order to prove a flat earth, we need this flat earth axiom to hold true when a tool uses the flat earth axiom to establish a horizontal for your wing line to be above that horizontal. It's like we've got 3 flat earth axioms just in the description to defy the claim that there's a ball somewhere in that process. No, none of the description is ball shaped ever. In fact, quite the contrary.
Yeah.
You require axiomatically to have a flat plane of reference to describe any of these principles of flight.
It's stupid of us to ask that question.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm coming to the conclusion of. As we're asking these questions, all we're doing is providing hope to the opponents. Maybe there's a way we can explain pitch data with respect to a globe. Well, you maybe can believe that, but you can't. It's measured flat. Did I do them all? Is that all the housekeeping questions? Did I miss any out? I don't think so. I think I covered them all. Marvellous. All right, that's it. Thank you for watching. I'm going home. For whatever reason in the pre-show, one of the participants was going through the history of 10 years of flat earth debating. It'd be 11 years coming up, wouldn't it? I'll lose track. But for a newbie that was in the chat, there was an unrecorded section just before I joined where, like I say, the concise history of where we're at and why we're here was given.
Who gave it to him?
I can't remember the guy's name. He's disappeared now. He's got a name that we regularly see go by in the chat, and we welcomed him the other day because he'd been in for the first time. I just can't remember his name because he goes by a different name in Discord.
Oh, what was he saying?
It's just breaking down the history for somebody who was new that was in there. Going from debating things like Earth curvature at a distance that's measured on a flat Earth to just saying, well, the distance is measured on a flat Earth, so who cares?
He was going into a bit of his own history and stuff like that, and kind of the different big characters, the Witsits and Gerons and things like that, and what's gone on in the past 10 years from them being Bitcoin shills to, well, Geron being Bitcoin shill to being flat earther to now being Glober. Things like that.
I was thinking,
what a freaking cycle that is.
Yeah.
Just on that though, I was thinking about this.
He did it really well and articulately. darn it if I forgot his name. He's got kind of a chicken icon on the Discord in here, and he did. I just wanted to tell him he did a really good job and was articulate and pretty much laid it out fairly into what the space is out here. And it was good.
Was it Divergent Droid?
No.
What I was thinking though the other day was regarding what you're talking about now, the housekeeping questions and all that. I was thinking to myself, if you was new to this, like that gentleman you've been speaking to, I missed it. I don't know. I wasn't in there. I've only just jumped in, sort of thing. Just as a human being or somebody coming into this, do you think you need to have to go through a process of things to get to the point that we're at now, or could you? Or can you just sit someone down and say, well, forget all that. This is, an elevation angle, and this is how you measure latitude. It's horizontal, sea level. The Earth's flat. You don't need to go in. Or do you think they have to go through a process to get here?
I think it's the former. I don't think you have to go through a process. So, for many years, when I've been out, I've said this, and Neil gets a bit uppity with me when I say it. I don't necessarily feel compelled to tell the people around me about flat Earth. If I'm in a home education class with one of my kids, I don't feel compelled to tell the teacher that we're not on a ball. Yeah, that never really, I've never felt compelled to do so. However, I've always pondered, well, what would I say if somebody asks the question, well, what do you do? And up until now, what I say as a response is, I have a YouTube channel, and they go, well, that's interesting. What do you cover? Cosmology is the one-word answer I give them. Because normally in that one word, most people don't fully appreciate what cosmology is, and most people, I don't know why this is, but this is true in my experience, don't want to seem stupid by saying, what does that word mean? Most people don't want to ask that question. What does that word mean? People don't like saying that. So cosmology is a great word for me to say, that's what I cover on the YouTube channel. Because then they go, you mean they're like stars and stuff? If they've got a vague idea what it means, they'll go, the stars and stuff. And you go, yeah. They go, oh, right. And then they think, am I interested in the stars? And 99 times out of 100, they're not. So they go, all right, that's fascinating. Wonderful. How long have you been doing that? About 10 years. Oh, right, that's lovely. And that's where the conversation ends. Whereas if I say, I run a debate about Earth being flat, you can either laugh. Right, there's a very different reaction. Now, today, I would have a different answer. So if someone says, what do you do? I'd say I cover cosmology, cartography, and how Earth is measured flat as a more whole answer. Because if someone says, what do you mean Earth's measured flat? It's exactly what I say. Earth is measured flat in all circumstances. And then if they go, well, isn't it a big ball? I'd go, no, it's measured flat like I just said. Would you like a few examples? And then I can rattle them off without any need to explain what I formerly thought we would have to do as flat earthers, which is explain why we're not on a ball. Now, how I was brainwashed into this mentality where a flat earther has the compunction to describe why we're not on something is beyond me. I don't know how we were brainwashed into that belief. But we were. For many years, we thought a flat earther was somebody who told you how you're not on a ball.
I'm glad you're catching up, because I've been saying this for at least 2 years now, that we could spare everybody going through the stuff and nonsense that we went through. Why do we have to deal with that? We just tell them the facts of how it's measured and move on from there.
And I'm glad you're pointing out to just how effective the brainwashing has been.
Yeah, we were introduced to flat Earth as conspiracy theorists. Now, I'm like most people on this path that brought us here from a conspiratorial route. Me, it was subliminal messaging and psychopathy. But on that route, we were furrowed, if the right word is furrowed, foraged, whatever the word is, down lots of different conspiratorial rabbit holes. So as a flat earther, one of the first things I was asked, first interview that I did with a guy called Fake Spacemen in Space, and he said, I'm a no-planer. I'm like, what's that mean? He went, well, on 9/11, do you think there were any planes? I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. He's like, I don't think there was any planes at all. I think it was all CGI. I'm like, I had no interest in 9/11, and I still don't, to be perfectly honest. But I'm suddenly, as a flat earther, being told that the counterpart on the other side of the computer screen to me, talking about the subject of flat earth, how we've just found it out, is a no plane guy. Why? Well, because that's what we're destined to talk about as flat earthers. How there's potentially no planes on 9/11 and it's all CGI. I'm like, okay. I thought I was here to talk about flat earth. But suddenly I'm talking about Mandela effect and whether or not C-3PO's got a silver leg. Whether or not Dolly had braces. And whether or not Taylor Swift's a clone. I'm like, is this really what we're here to talk about? This is annoying. Now, if you're on the other side of the pond, same pond, you're told, here's the Earth curve calculator. Learn how this works. So you can tell flat earthers how the distance, shh, don't mention that's a flat Earth measurement, is to a geometric horizon below the surface level. Shh, don't mention the surface level. Don't mention the eye level. But just mention that there's a geometric horizon. It's marked with an X and labelled horizon in this orthographic mathematics. Learn it and learn it well. And then when you come across a flat earther, you're the one with maths. That basically makes you a scientist. And then you can ask them if they're a science denier. We're all brainwashed.
You shouldn't be able to see that.
My point, just to round this out, is that we were brainwashed into being conspiratards, and our anti-flat earth brethren were brainwashed into using mathematics so that they could sniff their own farts and make themselves seem intellectual. But they were just as deluded and brainwashed and forced into a certain path as we were. It's just they're different paths, different strokes for different folks. But we're all still brainwashed, or were.
See, I was the opposite way. My brother told me about flat earth, and then I got into conspiracies because that's where I was funneled. So it's done deliberately. We know that.
Neil, you said it really, really well the other week. Did you write it down now?
Not yet, but I should. The way Nathan butchered it the other day, right? I was like, did I say that? Thank God it's a guy named Noel.
I remember when you said it, I said, write that down because it fell out your mouth really well. It rolled off your tongue.
I actually know what
it.
show it's on, so I can just go back and get it.
Yeah, do that.
How you doing, guys? Just one here, just to add a few words.
Hi, Jen.
When it comes to like conspiracies, it's the fact that conspiracies happen, and if you're interested in conspiracies because you want to investigate them, that doesn't make you a conspiracy theorist, because what you're studying are the conspiracies that actually happen. So conspiracy realist would be more appropriate, I would say, or someone who's interested in conspiracies. You're not a theorist, because the things you are studying have actually happened to be true, and people have conspired to do
You
those
validate
events.
that.
Yeah, right. And then when it comes to like 9/11, I'm very interested in 9/11. The justice hasn't been served to those who have died. So that's quite shocking, disappointing, and rather, inhumane. To know that that can happen in a country, you could have been there in a building because you were a tourist, for example, and this is what would be the end result. Very interested in that because it shows the kind of world we are living in. That's very interesting for me as a human being. And the other thing about it's measured flat, that's all very well and done. It is. But sometimes that may not be enough for somebody. I've been in this for 10 years. I've learned a lot of methods and a lot of facts that are useful that I'm always going to be prepared to use to make sure that the individual who I'm talking to gets to that understanding that the earth is measured flat. One route is not always enough. There are many routes, and I'm that man who will be taking those routes. I don't care how long it takes to get one individual to understand. I'm prepared to spend that time. That's me, Jin CBR1, and I will always be in that frame of mind for that every day I breathe air. There is nobody on this earth that will change that position. You can take the quick route,
we got it,
or you can take the route that goes around the house.
Will it ever
For
end?
me, that's fine.
Ever end?
Thank you very
hellfire.
much.
We got it. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, if you're a baker and you tell somebody who's in the queue for the bread that the bread's made with flour, and then the guy behind goes, "That's just not enough for some people. Some people need more." Telling them that it's made of flour, that just they might not get that. What's the baker going to do?
The baker will show the flour and show the process of making the bread if he wants. He or she.
And will he
Quite
show
simple.
him? Will he show him a roast chicken and say it's not made of this?
He will say it's made of flour. If the person doesn't know what flour is, he will show them the flour. That's what he's told them. It's not going to show them roast chicken. Roast chicken is not flour.
Right, and
if he has
globe
to
earth is not.
and he has to do that.
I'm leading you, Jin.
That's okay
Jin, not the
as
other
well,
way. Jin,
if
I'm
he has to
leading
do
you
that.
for bloody hellfire. I'm leading you, not the other way round. Yeah, in this example, the roast chicken is the globe earth. If it's not made of roast chicken, then you don't need to point out that it's not made of something. And if it's not globe-shaped, I don't need to point out how not globe-shaped it is.
That'd be you. I might have to do that because the individual I'm talking to may not get that. Okay? There are many roads to the truth. One road is one road. That's what I'm telling you. There's not just one road. So the more you flog that kind of philosophy, yeah, I'm going to remind you of that. Because I'm the man who's, and I'm not having any complaints.
Yeah, you are. I'm complaining literally now. What are you talking about? I'm the one complaining.
Well, I'm complaining that your man that only one is enough. I don't like that philosophy. That's
Jim,
not my idea.
Jim, what we're saying is, if we can avoid people going down the nonsense roads that we went down, we're going to avoid that by explaining to them the facts of the matter. Not the conspiracies that led us here or this, that, and the other thing. We're going to show them beyond the shadow of a doubt how Earth is measured flat. Now, if they don't get it, then, oh, well.
I'll elaborate a bit more, I will. That's what I always do. And it's not, and it wasn't a silly argument. The common sense ones, the ones that show them how it is possible to be living on a globe. And, you know, and I use all those methods, and I've gotten results all the time. That's what keeps me interested in this. Love it. Many roads. It's not just one road. But top answer. It's measured flat. Common sense, logic. Some people don't get that, so you've got to go through other routes to help them along. Nothing wrong with that. You don't have that patience, or you don't want to do that. Just want to keep saying it's measured flat. That's fine. I like to elaborate a bit more. That's all.
Yeah, I was talking with Jin yesterday, and he got it across to me that it's not that he's showing them that, look, there's no curvature by bringing them to a globe. The globe is in their imagination, and he's trying to break that thought in their mind that they're living on a globe by showing them a photograph or a long distance observation. It takes that thing, that curvature, that fear that they got in their mind, and shatters it along with the measurements. Am I right, Jim?
That is absolutely correct, Neil, because you're showing them flat Earth measurement as the curvature disappears, because it's not even there. It was never there. Then you back it up with strong English words like that, you know. It was never there. It was an illusion. It was a deception.
But it was in their
You've
mind.
never lived on a globe. Powerful words.
Yeah, but
Shake them good.
But it's in everybody's mind, because that's what we were taught in the education system, in the schooling. This is what we were taught. So it is a stronghold, and it is in a lot of people's minds. But that's why I feel if you take them right to measurements, that will shatter that brainwashing.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's correct. It will open them up to thinking, what do you mean? And then you elaborate that, and you show them people who are painstakingly taking time out of their lives to prove to themselves and us, all of us, that, look, this is the distance measured. I can see that object down there. It shouldn't be there, but I can see it. Well, when I say it shouldn't be, it's there, but I shouldn't be able to see it from this distance if I'm living on the supposed globe, and I'm not, because the curvature is not there. I'm able to see this at this distance, measured, flat. Nothing wrong with the explanation. That the person is seeing visuals. That you invite the person and you say to them, you can actually go to this particular location. They run tours because of this observation. So you can take a tour guide, go there, watch this, see it for yourself for real. Yeah, no, there's many roads. Measured flat is correct, absolutely spot on. That's where you go to first. Great, but then some people may not get that. You may need to elaborate. And I'm very happy to do that. That's all I'm saying. It's not giving them the globe at all. You're still taking away the globe from them because you're saying to them that you do not live on a globe. You don't. It's flat. This is why.
Hey Neil, do you remember the analogy that I gave yesterday of unicorn eggs? It's a very good time to repeat it.
Well, I saw that as a straw man and stupidity, really, because
Yeah,
straw eggs don't exist.
So let me present it now.
Rainbow eggs don't exist.
Okay, so let me present it now.
So I wouldn't be looking at, like I said, I wouldn't be looking at your egg. I'd ask you to go and make me a curry and that, rather than look at your egg. Silly thing to do, really.
Well, we got to give him a chance. But
let's hear it anyway. Okay, go ahead, Arthur. Let's hear it.
Okay, so someone comes and gives you a rainbow-colored egg and tells you that it's a unicorn egg. And what you go on to do is actually test the egg, see whether the paint peels off, see whether it is actually a chicken egg or some other egg, maybe do a DNA test. And you go on that spree of refuting the claim made by the person instead of flat out pointing out, what unicorns, man? What are you talking about? Unicorns don't exist. So that's the analogy I gave.
Yeah, but it's not a good one because I know that unicorns don't exist, first of all. So it's a silly one, really, because I wouldn't give it one iota. I wasn't indoctrinated that unicorns exist. You see, but the globe was the actual.
There you go, Jin.
The globe was the actual. The indoctrination. That's the actuality of it. So the actuality of that is people have been indoctrinated and are being indoctrinated every day of the week, even whilst we're speaking right now. So basically, that's the problem there, not the unicorn egg. If someone says to me, "There's a unicorn egg," like I said, I wouldn't even look at the thing, would I?
So I don't think I need to delineate what exactly those things were supposed to mean. Unicorn existing is the globe Earth existing, and unicorn eggs are NASA images and ISS videos in which you try to find glitches in order to prove that the globe does not exist.
It's been heavily indoctrinated to people, ingrained for years. You're talking years of indoctrination that you're now trying to undo for this individual. Now, it's measured flat. It's perfectly correct, as I keep saying. But sometimes that is not enough for some people, right? It's just not enough. And you might have to elaborate a bit more. And I'm prepared to do that. That's all. Nothing wrong with that.
Then it turns out to be a good analogy and definitely not a straw man then.
Well, no, it's still not good because nobody's indoctrinated to the point where they're getting to see a rainbowed egg. Come on. It's not silly.
Yeah, he's not listening to Jin. We've been indoctrinated with the globe, not with unicorns. Understand the total analogy, but people are indoctrinated with the globe. So there is a globe in everybody's imagination from the time they could freaking probably crawl. And that's what he's trying to break by taking them to measurements first and then showing them long distance observations. Now you've laid down that Earth is measured flat and you've now shown them a long distance observation that cancels out any globe that they may have in their mind.
Then maybe a week or two down the line when they've actually got it in their head, then you can start to explain to them the industries that are using the Earth flats now, because their indoctrination is beginning to wear off of them now. They're starting to become aware of the fact, and then you can help them along by introducing. Some people don't get it on the first 1 hour, 2 hour. It's flat, and they don't get it like that. That's always been my experience. I've never met anybody who gets it like that instantly.
Do you even understand what analogy means? It is not
I'm
real.
afraid, I'm surprised you would ask that question, to be quite honest.
I'm
Really.
surprised that you are telling me that people are not indoctrinated with
Not with a unicorn
Clearly,
rainbow
it
egg,
was
they're
an
not.
analogy. It was an example I gave you to make the point
It was
clear.
a poor
with
one.
Clear parallels
Poor.
in the globe world.
Poor one. It didn't stop me, but it's not changed my position, has it? I'm still going to carry on. It's a poor
Okay.
analogy.
At least I
Forget
tried.
it.
I think it like I mean it stems back to the question I asked earlier, and I think Nathan was sort of that was like when we was talking about the housekeeping questions. Like, do some people need to go through this to get to this level? Pardon the pun.
Correct.
I don't know. That was just a question. I mean, because I've been through that process. All of us on here have been through the process. Now we're saying, how is it going to work for a newbie not going through the process? Are some people going to just get it straight away, or do they have to go through the rigmarole and what we're pointing out now? Arguing about how far we should or shouldn't see and other nonsense that we talk about, but maybe they
Well,
need
it's
to
not
go through
nonsense,
that.
is it? Hang on, one deck. It's not nonsense, is it? You're talking about measure the distance there. That's not a nonsense, is it?
No, I mean, when we talk about how far we should see something, because, according to the globe measurements, which was measured from a horizontal surface parallel to eye level.
Right. Some people are not aware of that. You see, this is why you help them along. So again, it's not a nonsense. And I think, like I said before, the housekeeping questions established a brilliant standard for this Nathan Oakley's Flat Earth Debate show. Brilliant standard. And I think that should be kept because new people are going to come in. And I think for me, if it was me doing this, I want them to experience those questions. So because these new people, some people don't get it. But you're upholding a standard. It's not watering down your
but Jim, we're at
lowering your standards.
Hold on one second, Jim. We're at a position now in Flat Earth debate where there's a lot of people still like to just debunk the globe. That's the beginning. We started with debunking the globe. Now we have the silver bullet. And the silver bullet is measurements because measurements cannot be denied. It's a fact of the matter. Refracted says it all the time. To measure something is to know something. That's a truth. That's a fact. It's indisputable.
Just bear with me a second. A.E. Mir, can you just pop yourself on mute? I've had to server mute you because you're crapping at my live show. Thank you.
I apologize.
No worries.
So it's just that a lot of people still like to debunk the globe. To me, it just keeps the rhetoric alive, keeps the ballers alive.
No, for me, it destroys the globe, but in some cases, slowly. Those who are adamant and they're being obnoxious and rude, they get it violently from me. They'll get it the rough way. Those who are genuinely confused, then you're gentle, walking on eggshells, if you will, or crisps. So you take it gently, easy does it, and ease them into the reality of it all. Okay, there's many methods you're going to use.
Is that unicorn eggshells?
It's varied, and individuals are varied all over the place. So it depends on the individual, the method, and the way you're going to deliver this, and the amount of time you're going to spend to deliver this truth. Okay.
Just going back to the housekeeping questions, like we said during the housekeeping questions, when we were saying maybe do some factual, maybe when we go through the housekeeping questions, answer it, as we previously would have done, and then say, but now this is the way of looking at it as well. Like for the pitch data example, it's an impossibility, rather than saying, well, can you get a pitch data? Well, we're asking, can you get pitch data from a curved surface? Well, no, you can't. So why would you ask that? And then explain what pitch data is on the aeroplane. What like Nathan went through, it uses instruments to, determine a horizontal reference plane that it's flying over, and then it can pitch up to that and to remain in straight and level flight. So I don't know. We could do something there with that to give go through the housekeeping questions a little bit more in detail.
But if you think of what you just said, how do you have pitch data on a globe? People think they're flying over a globe every day. You go to any airport, and those people think they're flying over a globe.
Well, right, okay, we're going to go to
done with the...
I'm going to go to you in a second, though, Tanks. Just a quick shout out to him, Sake, who says, my bad super chat. fair enough. I don't really know what you mean, but thank you very much for the super chat. Also, shout out to Sense Your Goat, who says, Jin's approach seems more suitable for pub talk. Nathan's approach is best for hostile pond we're in. Well, yeah. Different strokes for different folks. Go ahead. Who's it in Discord?
I was just going to ask Neil. Is Neil? Are you kind of leaning that towards the idea that we should throw away the infamous black swan long distance observation as an argument?
When did I say that? It's not an argument. It's just an observation. That observation is off a flat plane.
Neil did not. But over the last 6 months, I have hinted at that more and more because it sits in the category of we see too far, doesn't it? Well spotted, no thanks.
It does.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Now, maybe you've been picking up what I've been putting down for the last 6 months, but yes, it's akin to the same thing I said in the intro. We're offering our opponents hope when we start begging the question on their behalf. Now, it's not like Quantum Eraser didn't disclose that fact. He said it was like one last time for old time's sake, where we'll allow the begging the question of the if the Earth's a sphere in the modus tollens. So it's not like it was made unclear that that was the case. But as time progresses, you go, well, why would we be doing that? It almost feels unfair to our opponents to torture them in that way.
Are we not talking about measurements with the black swan?
Exactly.
No, we're not.
Well said, Neil.
No, we're not. We're talking about if the Earth was a sphere with a geometric horizon and a radius value, a set value.
Hold on a second.
Measurements.
But in
Supposed
reality, we're talking about the distances of two oil rigs to show.
Horizon.
Yeah.
And how do
And
we
the
measure?
horizon behind it.
And how do we
Those
measure?
all need measurements.
And how do we measure the distance to the oil rigs?
Measure them on a flat plane.
Yeah.
Right.
Linear.
So to have the modus tollens
That's my
argument.
point.
So to have the modus tollens argument, we first have to measure something, the Earth's surface for the distance to the oil rigs, and we measure it
that's my
flat.
point.
Who's talking through me? Second bloody attempt. To measure the Earth, we must acquire a distance to the oil rigs, flat, linear, and horizontal. At which point, why do I need to say if Earth's a sphere with a radius of 3959, then every flat Earth measured distance to horizon can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, and the distance to the geometric physical horizon that's below the surface level, measured flat in the maths, is beyond the distance at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Why would I need to do that? I'm introducing a complexity that takes a flat Earth measurement, ignores it, and then debunks it.
So I guess I am on that side because that's what I'm saying. Exactly what you said. That's what I mean. We're using flat Earth measurements for everything. So when people bring up the black swan, you bring up that they're flat Earth measurements. Thank you.
Yeah.
Plus, you're arguing about
whilst dismantling. Sorry, there, one deck. Whilst dismantling the globe at the same time, because that's what you're doing. You are proving that the Earth isn't a globe.
No,
That's what you're doing.
You're not. You're building it first. You're saying if Earth was a globe, that's the first statement in the modus tollens. You first got to build the globe to then knock it down. And I don't agree. I know we're gonna thrash this out for months. I can just sense it, Jin. But regardless of your old school approach to this, I will maintain that all roads lead to a flat Earth. Or another way is you've said, oh, well, there's many different roads. No, there's only one. And all of them are flat Earth when you get far enough down that road. They're all culminating at the same flat Earth T-junction or whatever you want to call it.
Well, yeah, you're misrepresenting what I'm saying. When I'm saying there's many roads, there are many routes, if you will, roads, explanations to the flat Earth. That's what I'm saying when I say there's many roads. It's not just one explanation. There's many explanations, and all of them are brilliant because they dismantle the globe. And the preface, if you think you are living on the globe, this is how you are not living on the globe. Pay attention. You who don't know the model anyway, yeah. Sometimes you've got to take that route. Sometimes. Not
I think when
every
you say
time, but sometimes you've got to take that route.
Not disputing. I'm just saying, just pointing out, like, not to you personally, but yeah, the many explanations of a flat Earth. It's a measure. It's a measurement. So I mean, one great example is how latitude's measured. It's a measurement. There's just different ways to measure. You can use sea level and Polaris to get latitude, 60 nautical miles per degree. You know, when we're using the sea sextant, we're using sea level again, between 2 points on the sea level to get that radius for circle of equal altitude. It's always a measurement.
And the show comes a whole circle with this part, because if you remember, this guy, Charlie Handsome, who was on Discord, said that he came here for the first time. And while asking us about flat Earth, refracted curvature, John just gave him a very wise advice that stay clear of what explanations that many with the label of flat Earth will come to them and give their own explanations for things. So it comes a whole circle almost an hour into the show. Nice ending.
It still remains that there are many people out there who don't get it when you tell them it's measured flat. You may need to elaborate, and there's nothing wrong with elaborating using the knowledge we've acquired over 10 years, with the material that we've acquired over 10 years from people who have gone out there painstakingly doing it, even including yourselves. So I'll be using all that material. That's me.
For 10 years we debunked the globe.
What else are we going to do with our advanced heliocentric knowledge? Except flaunt it.
Yeah, but listen,
use it in the way you should use it, like a counsellor uses his skills to try and help somebody who's mentally disordered.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, isn't it?
This is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, that's it. You go ahead, Bondek. I suspect you're going to say the same thing. Go ahead.
I was just saying, like, if you're trying to help somebody who's got the interest, you made me spend that time with them going through the Black Swan, and who's really interested. But when you're dealing with an anti-flat earther or a glober, there's no point with that. You just tell them it's measured flat, latitude, that's the navigation. They know they're talking nonsense, and you're just pointing out that they are talking nonsense. But somebody legitimate, like a family member who's coming into it, and you can nurse them and bring them into it and go down them paths. I agree with that approach to that type of person.
Thank you. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You know, the likes of those who are anti-flat earthers who are very clever and very witty. Well, of course, measured flat is enough, and that's all you need to do. You don't need to waste time with them because they know it's flat. You know they know it's flat. So, yeah, that's fine. That's
Let me ask
I'm talking
a question.
about the ordinary Sue Blog and Joe Blog on the road.
Let me ask the question. If you're debunking a globe, are you proving that the Earth is flat?
I'm proving the Earth is flat, which actually debunks the globe. That's what we're doing.
That's not what he asked. If you're debunking the globe...
Well, that's what I do.
Just hear the question again. If you are debunking the globe, are you proving it is flat? That's the question.
Yeah. Well, if the Earth isn't a globe, this isn't curving, what is it, ladies and gentlemen?
I mean, in that situation, or in many situations, it's just a matter of kicking it off, because you know most people, they're already brainwashed and they're not interested. So it's a great way to just to get them. Just to get the ball rolling, just to get them to spend a thought or two. And when they realize that they're dealing with a contradiction, then maybe that could interest them. But the proof,
my question still ain't gonna answer.
But try this one. This is really funny. You take a globe, one of those models, and you put it upside down. You show it to them upside down, and they say, "Oh, you're holding it upside down." It's like.
Let me ask the question again. When you debunk a globe, are you proving the Earth's flat, yes or no?
Depending on the method you use, I would say yes, you are, because you're needing flats to debunk the globe. You need flats to debunk the globe. You can't debunk it without it. Bloody hell.
You've got it all backwards. You need flat to create the globe. So what we're doing is creating a globe with flat Earth measurements, and then, after ignoring the fact that to create the globe, to have it believed in the mind's eye of the person you're discussing it with, then taking it apart and debunking it. But when you're doing it, in answer to Neil's question, when you take apart the globe you just created with flat Earth prerequisites and elevation angles and measurements off surface level, to then debunk it and show how it doesn't work, you're not proving it's flat. What proves it's flat is the measurements used in the first place to create the globe to debunk the globe. But you whistle past them and then don't point out that it's flat to create the ball to believe in to then debunk it. That doesn't prove it's flat. That proves it's not something. And you don't need to prove something isn't something else. That's not necessary. You don't have to prove non-positivity. It's incumbent on the person making the positive assertion to prove their positive claim. With that, though, I'm going to actually play a little bit of this video. This is Al Baruhif explaining how we use elevation angle measurements with respect to a flat planar surface when we measure Earth flat.
Elevation angles measured relative to a flat Earth. You can measure elevation angles on a flat Earth. Elevation angles are measured relative to a horizontal plane, and that horizontal plane is the surface. A horizontal plane is just a plane that's perpendicular to down. I require a flat Earth to establish a horizontal plane at right angles to it. I require a flat Earth to measure an elevation angle.
Perfect. With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you who liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, hit me up on PayPal and Patreon and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels, and I will see you all in the next video.